Welcome back to Steve Neill's Garage. Yes, here we are back home again. You know, I really like being here. I've had that studio for 12 years. I love it, but there's just something about being in this back room I really like because it's at home. And anytime I want, I can come out here and I can just work on something like that or like this, which I've been working on. See, that's the transition. I go from here, and this is starting to look really, really nice. Nice, nice, nice. But I want to make a dashboard for it. It had a really odd looking dashboard with 3 gauges on it. And I made a little boo-boo down there, which I will correct. I think overall, I've got the windshield in. And the driver's pretty neat, but you know, I may mess around because I have Mark and Tyler, I know you're watching. This is a bag of your stuff that you've sent me over the years. Even when I bought stuff from you, you'd always send me extra because you were very generous. And these are some of the originals out of the molds that you originally cast up and made. And I think I may find like that right. Where is he? Where'd he go? Put my finger at him. Right there. See him? That guy right there with the goggles up might be a bit nicer than this. So, and I'm thinking of just, since his hands fit so well, that steering wheel, maybe I'll just cut his head off. Anyway, but this is a beautiful car. It's not completely accurate. And one of the things that really gripes me about this kit is that they give you a set of red in 2 different sizes. This size and this size. But you know what? They don't give you the other side. I only got 3 different types of decals in here. And if I want to have the number 12 on the side, I'd have to use black ones, which doesn't make any sense. So I guess I'm just going to clear coat this with just the red ones on and photograph it from the side. I don't know. Anyway, as I was saying, I just turn around and over here is Wonderland, which I've been working on bit by bit by bit by bit by bit. I've been painting the edges to be green. I've fixed the big problem I had here, which is where I used the water-based glue and forgetting that this was foam board and that it's not waterproof. Yeah, you got it. Just like shrinking tissue on a model airplane, it shrunk. So I shrunk the backside too, and it kind of went level again, at least good enough. I put a few guys out here doing donuts and stuff. I haven't hooked up the lights yet, but the lights for this little garage, they it's lit up inside and outside, and I got to find the doors. I got some laser cut ones, and everything down here is pretty much the same. The track is running very, very well. I'm very pleased with it. So I've been working on that, and you know, it's green all the way around the edges, and it just really sells it well. So that's what I've been up to. Tomorrow we'll go to the studio. We'll see how the sea view is, and I just ordered. I think it's a 25 to 30-year-old kit of a Tamiya Lotus 25 that I'm going to build, not as a stock car, just as a display model. I rarely do that. I saw the car. My dad loved that car. I love that car. I love Jimmy Clark, and I just want to build that car, and I think that'll make a fun build that I will feature here. So remember that problem? Where's the camera? It's over here. I'm used to using other cameras. Remember that problem I talked about with the decals on this scale auto kit? They were very nice to give you these at this size, and they were very nice to give you these at this size, but they didn't give you 2 of these at this size and 2 of these at that size. So that made a problem for me because I wanted number 12 on there, and I only had enough to make it number 12 in the front and number 12 on one side only. And I was looking at it and I thought, wait a minute. Oh, they gave you these too, which are useless because unless you're going to be using white or black. So, and even then, you still wouldn't get the two 12s that I wanted. But I started to realize something that I should have realized before. All of them do include two 9s and two 6s on all three sheets, which meant that I could turn them around. And they always put them off to one side like that to avoid the Mercedes emblem. So that works fine. And then I'm going to put another one here and another one there. And I've got a 6, a 6, and a 6. Problem solved. So in the restoration, and for those of you just tuning in, this is a 1960s, I don't know who made the frame, but I do know that motor. We should all know that if we're into slot cars and been in it as long as I have been. But when I was a kid, racing with my dad, I built this exact car with that rust kit motor in it. And recently I got hold of the frame and this, it was from an estate. Someone was giving away all the stuff. I went through and I found that the body was trashed. I went on eBay and found a guy that got hold of the original bodies back then and made new molds on them, and you can get castings from them. So I've been working on this bit by bit. So anyway, these decals also came with these, if I can get them out of here without having them slide off before I get to use them. I was hand painted this one, which was not that successful, but it looks okay. But now I have these to match this. Now this is a George Turner kit from the UK. I bet you'd like to get one of these, huh? Well, guess what? You can't, because their post will not ship to us. They won't. And it's not him. It's not the vendors. But their country says, no, we're not shipping to America. That game is over for now. So things change. So meanwhile, I got one. I'm using it as reference because it's actually very accurate. George does a great job. His frames, everything. They're entirely scratch-built models he makes by hand without 3D printers, the way things used to be done. He used to be a toy maker. But I digress. I'm going to put these here. They're about the right size. They're about the right size. And as you can see, we have pucker problems going around this turn, but no problem because I have the mighty microsaw. And I'm going to put that on there, and that should make it all go flat and conform. So while I wait for things to dry, and I wait for a 25 or is it 30-year-old kit to come from Japan of a Lotus 25, which I'm also going to build. Originally, I was going to make this into a slot car, and I decided, no, I want to build this car as a display model. Now, I spent a lot of time in this car, more than once. Practically owned one. Drove it down Mulholland, beat the pants out of all kinds of cars. Was in a terrible accident that wasn't my fault. Someone else was driving one of these. I was in the passenger seat. We had about 80-something miles an hour. We hit a parked truck. And we hit a telephone pole. And we both walked away from it without a scratch. I can't say the same for the car. But the car, as dangerous as they're allegedly supposed to be, that car saved our lives. So, very interesting. So, I'm building this kit. I plan to make it BRG. I know they didn't sell them BRG. They should have been BRG. But that doesn't mean that you couldn't have bought one and repainted it. So, they have you start with the engine. Really, I should be starting with the body. I see that most of the people building this kit did that. But while I wait for my Lazy Susan paint stand for car bodies and models to show up tomorrow, I am putting the engine together first. Now, of course, it's chromed, so I'm going to have to paint it with a semi-gloss black and then rub it down so that the raised areas on the valve cover, which are for cooling, show. But I am starting this kit and going to build it. 1/24 scale. It's a wonderful car. I really loved it. And if I get a chance, before I kick the bucket, I'm buying another one. So, just got this in the mail. It's a painting stand. I never even knew these existed until I watched a tutorial and a gentleman was using one of these, and I said, let me go look that up. I think it's a $22 and it was delivered in one day. It's fully adjustable. You can see the gears here. So this rotates this way and this way. These are spring steel. So you can put your model in there and then it's not going to come off. It's not going to come off. It will move around a little bit, but it's not going to come off. And this allows you to be able to get underneath and paint. It's a Lazy Susan and it turns. And I don't know, maybe I'm telling you guys something you've already known about, but this is a remarkable thing to me. Plus you take these out and have it lower or higher, whatever you want. So look at it now while it's pretty, because after a while it won't be. So what I'm going to do is clear coat this. I forgot. I did figure out those decals, so that worked out really well. And I know some of you will say, well, that doesn't work. That should be right in the middle. They couldn't put it in the middle because of the Mercedes emblem there. So that's how the real thing was. So anyway, I'm going to use this home airbrush. These things are actually really good. I don't know if they're still $49, but they were originally. This unscrews, it charges with USB. This is actually a very good airbrush. I've had every kind of airbrush there is known to man, and I really didn't expect much from this, but this thing comes apart and cleans well. When you take it apart, you see that it's really well made and really well thought out. And the reservoir is a nice size. It looks smaller on film, I think, but it's actually a nice size, and yeah, it works great. So I'm going to use that to spray the clear on, and the clear I'm going to be using is the Alclad that says lacquer, but it's not lacquer. No, it's not. Don't be fooled. It's right there. Let's see if I get the light on this thing. And focus. Focus. You can see it's aqua gloss, clear. So it is water-based, and as a result, it will not dull the finish that much. Although if it does, I won't be bothered, because the actual thing, it was aluminum body, and it wasn't that shiny. Not like this anyway. This is just freaking gorgeous, those Alclad. So I'm going to do that, and we'll take a look at this when it dries later on. Well, I have to say, it did not take much of this. And if you're not careful, it will do that. So, but the nice thing is I can turn this like so the other way and blow on it a bit. And I've been doing that, and it dries really well. But you can see it did not dull this at all. Very cool. I'm very happy with that. So that was that spot where I showed you it had run. And all I did was hold it upside down, let the flow go back and forth, and blow on it. And it just really came out really well. So, yeah, no complaints here. That stuff really works very, very well. You got to love Alclads. Beautiful. And I love this stand. Well, it's Saturday. And I'm finally getting back here. This has really been great, making this track longer. I really am happy with it. And I need to get back and put a little bit of time in on, there we go, on this Lotus. Of course, I have the Lotus 25 inbound, but I've been working on this part of it, which is the thing they have you start off first, and that's the engine block. Painting it, putting it together. One of the things I did is, you can see how, I put the semi-gloss paint on it right over the chrome, and then wiped it so that, come on, focus, there you go. So you get the raised areas, and then certain angles it looks black, and then the cooling on top of the valve cover you can see. It looks a lot like the real engine. I should remember it well. So I'm going to continue on painting this and putting this motor together. This is now dry, and I can put the car together and start doing some weathering. I had clear, you wouldn't think that a clear acrylic clear from All Clads, which you can see sitting back there, would work this well on a lacquer base. I mean, not that it would have any reaction to it or anything, but I mean, it didn't dull the metal at all. Look at that. And I was told that by Vern at Ventura Hobbies, but he couldn't verify it. One of his customers said that clear will not dull the metal look. And he said, but he couldn't verify it himself. So I called him yesterday and said, yes, your customer is right. It's beautiful. I'm so pleased with it. So let's add more parts to this. The only problem with working with an iPhone, instead of using my Panasonic or my A7 Pro cameras, is that you can't, do things with one hand. And, I'll end up knocking over this plastic, Plastruck, yes, or is it Plastruck? Plastic weld, which I've been using for years. I mean, the Tamiya is good too, but this stuff works very well. I mean, it will literally take parts that are slightly warped, and when you wet it, you wait a second, it melts the plastic, and you can just push it together, and it just fills the gaps quite well, as you can see here. So, but I'm not going to attempt to do this with one hand. Can I lean this? I do have a tripod somewhere for this iPhone. These kits are so beautiful. You really hate to take them out of the box and start gluing parts together. They're just gorgeous, and I love looking at the kit. I love getting it. I love the crinkling of the plastic. You know the drill. I mean, and they're so well put in here and so clean and nice, and just, wow. My main modeling is building radio-controlled airplanes and slot cars and boats and all that kind of stuff, but there's something about just building a plastic kit that, and just for the purposes of having it sit there and be pretty, that never kind of gets old. I mean, it started when I was a kid. I used to build with my dad. My dad was great at it. Well, as you can see, it's getting dark. That's how it is. Yes. You gotta grab this carefully, because I don't know, the glue's probably not set up all the way. But you can see this turns into a really nice little engine. I mean, to me, it does such a good job. They really do. Really, really nice. There's a focus, you darn thing. Here, let's get some light down there. There is the starter motor right there, and the water pumps up here, and I'm trying to remember, but this, oh yeah, this is the alternator, because it's a mid-engine car. Got the exhaust pipes on, the old important oil cap. So this is as far as they have you go before moving on to the next step. And everybody uses a different way of doing all this. I like to follow the instructions because I think Tamiya does a very good job. So here's this beauty. It's all dry, stickiness to it. It's time to weather it up and probably age these. These are way, way too shiny and sparkly. They really are. I mean, it's tempting to keep it that way, but because it's just so pretty. But I really want to do some weathering on this and get it to look, to give it some scale, to make it look like a real car. It is a real car, but it's a slot car. Anyway, over here is the Lotus body, which is on my new fancy stand. I glued this piece on here, and of course this has to be filled because the real car does not have a seam there. This is a molded fiberglass body. So the body's amazing, though. It's it's all pretty much in one piece, the way the real body and the real car is. A lot of this is just like the real thing, which is really neat. So it occurred to me, let's put that on the track and see how it does. So I'm going to try to follow this with very careful. Oh, follow this with my iPhone. I cannot give it full throttle. It's really very fast, but it runs beautifully on this polycar track, and I really think that's cool. And that little bump you hear is that hitting that right there, because it's just a little big for this track. If I fishtail through, no problem. Did I catch that fishtail? Anyway, it's great. You know, my other YouTube channel keeps me so darn busy. It's really hard to get out here, but when I do, God, do I enjoy it. It's like an oasis. The first thing I want to do is take that and get it away from the things I'm doing here. I still have work to do on this, like I got to put some paint on the buckles that hold down the hood. I'm sure those just weren't silver. I'll have to go check online. You can see the difference between 1/32 and 1/24. It's quite significant. Anyway, back over here. What I'm doing is I'm working on the Lotus. And, you know, we've got this seam here, which has to be filled. And it has been filled. There's this part that goes back on here. It doesn't fit that well. It's not bad. I don't know if the car really had a seam there like that or not. It may have, but I don't think it did. This side's better. There are edge seams here, which are from the parting. You can see it right there. The car did not have that. Those have to go bye-bye. I should really put on the side pieces. And then wet sand this whole thing down, or lightly sand with this 1000 grit down here, and then start primering layer by layer over the next few days. And I must say, these new tree cutters I just got, that's the brand. They're really magnificent. These are really nice. For 20 bucks, they better be. But they cut so close that you barely see where the tree cuts have been made. Those little nipples there are actually something that are supposed to be there, so that locks into the car body. But that's amazing. So I'm going to add these to the side here. Normally these are, at least on the Lotus Europa Specials, those were painted silver. But I'm painting this BRG, and I'm not sure if I painted BRG, those should be silver or not. They may not. I would prefer it be all BRG. And those fit really well. I mean, what a beautiful job they do of fitting. And luckily, I don't have to do any seaming on that at all. That just fits gorgeous. And the great thing about, I remember, you don't want to spill this stuff. It makes a huge nasty mess. I remember back in the old days when I was making model kits with my dad, and we didn't use the liquid glue. It was back in the 60s, and you know, I just can't imagine not using it now, because it just melts the pieces together so well. And of course you can screw up really bad, but you just use it lightly, and it's amazing how quick it grabs. I mean, these already, I can, when I move them, just after a few seconds or a minute later, it'll move the whole side of the car. Really nice stuff. Okay. I got this little stand for the tripod. It kind of works. Let me see. Wow, you can even see me. Isn't that something? Okay, so there's these annoying little lines here. I already sanded out that one. Let's see if I can figure this out here. I think you might be able to just see it right there. There it is. And what I'm doing is I'm sanding these off. Because the car doesn't have these. The other parting line, runs down the door, kind of, and it stops there. I didn't see it continuing on, but there's some of it inside the door seam right there that I have to get. So now I'm going to sand these off. Are you bored yet? I would be if I were you. Watch Steve Neill sand a Lotus car body out of frame on top of that. So great professional filmmaker of Hollywood and 50 years in the motion picture business, and I can't keep things in frame. Not when I do it this way. Is this 1,000 credit? I don't think it is. Doesn't matter. The primer I'm using will fill it right up. And I see this stuff that's just not perfectly smooth here. The light's very hard on it. It seems okay now. But there's some ill-fitting, not ill-fitting, but the mold, you know, kind of. And I'm almost thinking I'm going to need to put some primer, more than primer in here to make this smooth. But you get the idea. Okay, I'm being really anal on this one. You know, I see if the light will show it. If I can get this just right. You can see there's a dip there in the plastic, and I think you can really see it on this side. There it is. You see that? Right there. See it? There's one there, and there's one down there. This side has them too. That shouldn't be there. So what we're going to do is fill it in with some red putty, let it dry and smooth that out. It's the only spot in the whole car body that I found that in. A big tube of this is pretty cheap. It'll last you forever, especially for projects like this. I'm just going to use my finger, pull off a little bit of that and stick it in there. And there we go. That was definitely filled in. We'll let that dry for a few hours, and later on tonight, I will sand that down. But the rest of the car is just really smooth. I mean, you know, a lot of plastic model kits you get today, they have a lot of those dimples in the hard to get to spots in the mold, which I think caused that, you know. Maybe it's the mold's getting old. I don't know. This is a 1999 mold. So, but that's it. I mean, those are the only two spots. So, like I said, you gotta love Tamiya. They make great kits. So you gotta love this. You know, it comes with photo etch parts, this version of the kit. And look at that. Disc brakes. Kind of disappointing though, and I'll tell you why. Because my Fiat 124 Spider, which hasn't changed, they sold them up to 1984 or 5, I can't remember. But starting in 1966, they had four-wheel disc brakes, and Lotus had drum brakes in the rear and only disc brakes in the front. Wow. And a 5-speed transmission. Still, if I can have both, I think I will. So now we're to this part. And I have that part put together. And this is the frame. Amazing thing about this frame is that if you really look at it, it's, you know, the engine goes about here. This, you know, if you set that there and look at it, and then you put open wheels on this and a cigar shape body and get rid of that, you got a Formula One car on the street. I so much loved driving this car. It was just fantastic, and it was so easy on Mulholland to just go around anything but one of these and leave it in the dust, including Porsches. Anyway, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to attach this section here to here, as is shown there, and see how that all goes. I don't quite follow exactly what they want me to do. I see that these parts are, I think, pressed together but not glued. We're going to do that and see how it goes. And to give you a little bit of airplane stuff this week, this is my Aquila Grande, meaning very large. It's not that large. Yeah, 100 and something inch wingspan. Airtronics Grande, and I built this myself, meaning that I got the plans off the internet. I tried to find a kit. They haven't made this kit in years. It's got a full flying stab on it. It's quite a great glider. It was designed for the slope. I later converted it, but every single part was cut by hand from plans. This was before I had the laser cutter. And the last time I flew it, the guy said, or my friend Mark said, you know, when you're flying it, it looks like it has more dihedral. The wings are over here. And we checked the spar, and the spar I had in it was quite inadequate, especially for having a battery in it and a motor. So what I did is I got a piece of music wire, which is the best, which is what should be in there in the first place, and cut that and put some nose grease on it so it slides in and out really easy. And we're going to attach it to these right here. Oh, now we got one wing on, and this one's just to stabilize the back. This is as long as it gets because this panel has dihedral in it. So it's banking up, and this can only go so far before it comes out the wing. That's how it's designed. So let's put the other one in. And there we go. Yeah, you can see the whole plane. I'll try not to throw it on the floor. Okay, so it is kind of big. That's why they call it the Grande. I'll back up. It's just gorgeous. It's got speed brakes on it. A whole bunch of power with that motor on 3S. It's amazing. And again, this was all entirely scratch built by my hands. And I just tested the spar. What a difference with the piano wire. It's like 1/4 inch piano wire and actual music wire, which is really strong. And wow, I feel safe to fly this now. So that was a great thing to do this week. Okay, that brings me to the end of this video. So that's the front end. You can see the lovely metal etched parts there that, if I can get light on them. There you are. That's the disc brakes. And what's really cool about this too is that, they got a tie rod in there, and so you can turn the front wheels, which is really, really cool. It's things like this that really matter, I think. Maybe it's just me, but just being able to do that is just so cool. That's what the real car could do. So that's it for now. I'll do more work next week and, of course, cover what I'm doing. And thank you for watching this video. If you like this, like and subscribe. I don't usually ask for that, but, if this channel gets to a certain amount of views or hours, it's got lots of views, but, well, you know the deal. So we'll see you guys next week.